Hi everyone, we are going to finish where we left off in class yesterday. So we had just finished with this finding the principal example, and we had talked about how really finding the principal is something that's probably never going to happen because you always are going to know how much money you are requesting a loan for. So we did go through this problem anyway and solve it just for practice. So here's an example of finding the rate of a loan. So what's the rate of interest on a loan of $25,000 for 245 days if the amount of interest is $1,960 using the ordinary interest method? So the ordinary interest method, remember, is also called the banker's rule, and we divide by 360 days. So here's our triangle that we reference. We just plug in the information. Remember in your calculator that we are going to put our parentheses. Okay, so remember we're going to put our parentheses. We're going to put them here, here, around here, and around here. So if you put it like that in your calculator, you'll get the correct answer. And of course, we always convert a decimal into a percent when we are talking about our final answer for rate. Our next practice problem is finding the time period of a loan example. What's the time period of a loan for $15,000 at 9.5% ordinary interest if the amount of interest is $650? Again, we're going to use our magic triangle. We're solving for time. We simply plug it in. I'm going to use our parentheses on the bottom here. And we get 165 days. Now notice here, and this is important, that if you have any decimal, so it's 164.2. So it doesn't matter if it's 0.5 or greater. If it's any decimal, anything over a whole number, you round up to the next number. So 14.2 days gets rounded up to 165 days. These are the steps for calculating maturity value of a loan after one or more partial payment. So say that you've made an initial payment, it's calculating the maturity value of a loan after that. So here's the partial payment timeline. So say that you've got your loan date is some start period here. After 30 days, you make a partial payment. Then after 40 days, you make another partial payment. And then after 50 days, that's the maturity date of the loan. So the term of the loan was 120 days. So let's take a look here at calculating a loan involving partial payments. So a firm borrowed $15,000 at 12% ordinary interest for 100 days. On day 20 of the loan, it made a partial payment of $4,000. On day 60, it made another partial payment of $5,000. What is the final amount due? So what's left over that they still owe on this loan? So this takes a couple steps, but just write everything out and it should be fairly straightforward. So day 20 partial payment, we're trying to figure out the payment for 20 days. And this gives us the interest of 20 days of the partial payment. So the interest is $100. And so if you pay $4,000, 100 of that is interest, 3,900 is the principal. The original principal was $15,000. You paid 3,900. So what's left to pay is 11,100. So then we take that 11,100 for that second payment, which is 40 days. So it says on day 60, but we made a payment after 20 days. So 20 to 60, there's a 40-day difference. So the interest on that is $148. So the principal payment that was made was $4,852. So we subtract that from the current principal of $11,100. We get $6,248. There are 40 days left in this loan, so we calculate the interest. Remember that the maturity value is the principal plus the interest. So this is the final payment that you would have to make on this loan, $6,331.31. All right, now we're coming on to section 3 of this chapter, and I think I mentioned in class that we are just going to really skim through this, so I'm just going to briefly go over this. I want you to kind of know what it is, but we're not going to spend a lot of time doing this. So a promissory note is the document that says that one party is going to repay the money to another, and it details everything. It details the payment period, it details when the payments are due, it details the interest rate. Everything is written out on the promissory note. So there's also something called a simple discount note, and it's just a promissory note in which the interest is deducted from the principal at the beginning of the loan. And there's a bank discount, which is when the amount of interest charged deducted from the principal on a discounted promissory note. So the bank discount is the amount of interest that's charged. It's basically the fee on a discounted promissory note. And proceeds are the amount of money that the borrower receives at the time a discounted note is made. So here's an example of a partial payment timeline. You can take a look at this. This is also, of course, in your textbook. So to calculate the bank discount and the proceeds for a simple discount note, the bank discount equals the face value times the discount rate times the time. And then the proceeds is calculated as the face value minus the bank discount. So we'll go through a couple quick examples. Jane signed a $20,000 simple discount promissory note. The discount rate is 13% and the term of the note is 330 days. What is the amount of the bank discount and what are her proceeds on the loan? So we are just going to plug in the information they gave us into our equations. The bank discount is 20,000 times 0.13 times 330 over 360. And we get the bank discount is $2,383.33. The proceeds is simply the discount minus the 20,000. So the proceeds are $17,616.67. This is how we calculate true or effective interest rate. So it's the true interest rate, or the effective is the actual interest rate that's charged on a discounted note. It takes into account that the borrower does not receive the full amount of the principal. Okay, the borrower doesn't receive everything that they have requested because the bank is going to take out some money. So the effective interest rate is the bank discount divided by the proceeds times the time. Calculating the true interest rate, Here's an example. What is the effective interest rate of a simple discount note for $40,000 at a bank discount rate of $11,000 for a period of 270 days? So the bank discount we calculate, and we get $3,300. The proceeds are $36,700. So the effective interest rate is 11.99%. So here are the steps if we want to discount a note before maturity. That means before you've reached the end of the loan terms. So here's kind of a timeline. It says, so that you've got the date of the note, that's the face value, the starting point. And say you wanted to do a discount note 60 days in, it's 30 days before the maturity date. So here's an example. A firm received 35 grand promissory note at 10% simple interest for 6 months from a customer. After 4 months, the note was discounted at the bank at a discount rate of 14%. What are the proceeds the firm will receive from the discounted note? Okay, so the maturity value we calculate on a $35,000 promissory note is $36,750. So the discounted period was 2 months. Okay, so they discounted it for a period over 2 months. And then you calculate the bank discount based off of 2 months and based off of the maturity value. And then you can calculate the proceeds off of that. So the proceeds are $35,892.50. So that's what the firm will receive from the discounted note. We also have U.S. Treasury bills, T-bills. These are short-term government securities that are loans to the U.S. government. So here are some different pieces of the calculations. If you want to calculate the interest, then it's the face value times the discount rate times the time. The purchase price is the face value minus the interest. And then the effective interest rate is the interest divided by the purchase price times the time. Okay, so now I'm going to put your practice problems. I'm going to list them on our course page. If you have any questions or you want to see me do any of them by video, just let me know. Thanks, guys.